He was born in 1925 in the village of Yorkville. During the 30s, the dirty 30s, the Depression was pretty full force. And his father had it was a menial job, but they took care of the apartment. And he was able to, he had a roof and the parents had food. So that's the most you could ask for. So the children were pretty well on their own. So he was part of a group of street children, and he just relates a couple of stories. They swam in the Don River. That was it was too far to go down to the beaches, and they were just scruffy children, and they weren't really welcome. Don River was an actual sewer, and there they didn't have bathing suits or anything, and I think they liked walking through Rosedale to get there. Friends one time was swimming, and he played a practical joke on everybody. He was swimming, and he came to the surface, and he had a chocolate bar in his mouth. So everybody panicked. They thought it was, you know, but something unpleasant. So that's the type of kid he was. Another one of his adventures in his neighborhood, there was this young fellow who was, I guess he went to jail. He was gone for a year. So all the kids, they must have been 10, 12 years old, around in the middle 30s or late 30s. They stole the car. So every child in the neighborhood who could reach the pedals, they all learned how to drive. So then time passed, and they had to hide it all the time. So they moved it around, but the neighborhood didn't care, the adults didn't care. And then all of a sudden, the person who owned the car was coming home. So they didn't know what to do. So one of them had a great idea. So in one of the backyards, they dug a big hole, and the 10 kids pushed the car into the hole, and they buried it. The guy looked for his car and sort of moved into. I guess he went and steal another one. That was the type of neighborhood. In Toronto, at this time, the kids, I don't know, they managed to get bicycles. I don't know, not saying they stole them from Rosedale, but they always seemed to have community bicycles. And they went to the Christie Pit riots. And he loved that. He was a witness, and he loves telling that story. And then by 1938, he couldn't really read that well, but he was able to. He sort of understood things. And his father was an Orangeman, so when King Edward abdicated, that was really upsetting for this British family. And then a couple of years later, he was witness, and he liked to tell me the stories, and I find it how it relates to today of the fascist movement in Toronto. They used to go. There was 4 different meetings of the fascists, and the fascists, the Nazis, or the black shirts, they like to be called, actually filled up Maple Leaf Gardens at the time. They had another meeting in Massey Hall and some of the Masonic halls. So it was really, really quite active. I find that a little scary, and my father didn't really understand it at the time. And I'm not even sure if he understood the implications of this, even when he told me the story. Back then, they changed the rules a little bit. You're supposed to be 16 to quit school, and the boys all quit at 14 because they were all getting ready to go into the army. So Jesse Ketchum is sort of a famous neighborhood school, and he's really proud of that. And he always talks about his grade 8 reunions. Probably 4 or 5 of the boys from his class that never even made it. They're in the army, and they were really young, and they loved the motorcycles. And 4 of them actually died in motorcycle accidents. They didn't even have a chance to do any fighting.